Voiceover, seriously?
Voiceover off.
There we go. So, hi guys, welcome back to my channel again. It's literally like the same day that I recorded my snow day video. But in case you can't tell or don't know, yeah, so anyway. Excuse me. The reason I'm recording this video is because someone on my channel had commented about anatomy and how I do it. So I am in Anatomy 2 right now. I took anatomy in high school, and then I got here, and they said it didn't transfer as a like a full credit. It was just an elective, which is fine with me because I learned a lot more at college level. So anyway, so as a blind person, I was worried about anatomy because science is hard as a blind person. Not because of the it's mainly because it's such a visual thing, and like I don't know about all the tools and techniques that are available, just because I haven't had the most successful school, let's put it that way. I discussed some of that in my other videos, like thanking the people that are rude, and there was another one I did about that, like something about depression. Or no, it was encouraging the disabled during dark times or something like that. Anyway, so I talked about my school experience, high school and stuff. I don't know how detailed I went because I've talked to a lot of people since then. But yeah, so needless to say, my school experience was not super great, so I did not have a lot of access to the scientific tools that are available. So I didn't know that such things existed. I can't speak. So, I'm in Anatomy 2, as I mentioned. Basically, it's one semester per anatomy, so, like, Anatomy 2, and then you're done. I mean, you can go on to more, but for my program, I don't need to. So basically, the first day of lab last semester, because see what you do is you have a lecture, and I do that 3 days a week because I can't do 3 hours in one day of anatomy, it's just too hard. And then you have a 2.5-hour lab. And the problem with mine was that I'm not good in groups just because of the whole blindness thing and my personality. Like, I don't do well with groups in general. I prefer to work by myself on everything. And also with lab, it's just such a visual thing that everyone tries to take over for me. And I'm not going to learn if someone does it for me. So they decided to get me a one-on-one lab. The problem with that was there wasn't enough time, so this instructor said, I am going to do it, and you're basically going to do it for me. And the biology department was like, well, we don't want to, and he was like, look, the only way to get her to learn this is if you give her a one-on-one, because, like, it takes more time. Mainly because the teacher has to figure out how to make it accessible, and then when they do that, it just takes more time to explore. My labs are generally either the same length or a little bit shorter compared to the sighted people, just because the sighted labs you have like 50 people, and then the other labs you have just me. I'm the only blind student currently, so yeah. Just putting that out there because they haven't had a lot of experience with scientific studies with blind people here on the campus with labs. So this is my first time doing it. This is their first time. So last semester was decent. Most of the stuff was structure of the body. So basically bones. And we did cells and stuff like that. They had plastic models of everything. We worked on feeling it, knowing what's what, naming the different things. That's basically all there was to it. He was very patient. My professor was super patient. I love my professor. He is, like, amazing. A lot of people don't like him because he pushes people, and I'm like, isn't that what you want? Don't you want to go into your field knowing what you're doing? I mean, you don't want to be like, oh, I think that's the humorous, but I don't know. You don't want to have to guess. You want to have to know. anyway, so I love my professor for that. And a lot of people think that because I'm blind, I got special treatment, or maybe I got help because it was an instructor in me. That is not the case. Let's put it this way. If I were cheating on tests, or if he was helping me at all, I would have gotten an A+, 100% on every single lab practical, every single, everything. And I did not. I ended up with decently high scores, like in the 80s, 90s. But I did not get 100, so there you go. If I were cheating, I wouldn't end up with 80, 90s. So just spilling that right away, because I know people on YouTube will see this and they'll say, oh, well, she got special treatment. No, that's not the case at all. Don't even think it. You can trade places with me and you'll see that I did not get special treatment. The only thing I got was a different lab time, and I made it equal, because I could feel the models, and I got to, what they do for me, depending on the model, because the students have the pictures in their textbook and lab manual, I get the models to feel. There's a little place in the disability office here that I get to keep my models that they let me borrow, and only there because it's secure. No one's gonna mess with it. In here, in my room, there's too many ifs because I don't have a lock on my door. Not saying my roommates would do anything, but that type of equipment I can't be too cautious about because it is expensive. I didn't buy it, and it's not mine. So it's not mine to break or to use. I mean, it's to use, but not to break. So anyway, so there's a little area in the disability office that we keep the models in, that they let me borrow for a week or so, depending on the time. And I get to feel them as much as I want to because I'm in that building a lot. I get to explore them and intimately know them, let's put it that way. So I have to know every single nook and cranny, just like sighted people. So anatomy 1 was hard because I didn't know what to do. I've never done this before, really. We ended up, for the muscles, we put numbers on the muscles that I had to know, because we don't have to know every single muscle. That'd be a lot. Eventually I probably will, but not in anatomy 1. Excuse me. So we labeled the muscles. We put braille numbers on them. They're like clear plastic stickers, pretty much. It's like demo tape for sighted people. That's how you can compare it. And basically, I take my Brailler, Perkins Brailler, and braille on them, or you can buy them already pre-packaged, pre-made, and then you cut them and stick them on the muscles, which are clear, which the anatomy professor already knew what the muscles were. It was for me to study. And then, because the kids had the textbook with labeled pictures, so mine would be labeled in braille, the numbers, and then I would have a corresponding document on my braille note with the numbers and the name of the muscle. So that worked. And then when it came time for the lab practical or the quizzes, because we have a quiz every week over the muscles and over each thing that we learned the week before, he took a separate model of the same exact structure and helped me figure it out. And what we did with that, sometimes we use more than one model for the same thing, just because it's easier to feel certain muscles and certain bones on different models. So for the muscles, we did a full-size skeleton. Not a skeleton, sorry, excuse me. A full-sized, I don't know what you'd call it, because it had muscles on it. So probably a full-size torso model, I don't know. Anyway, we used a muscular model of the body, the whole body. And then we did the, so this just the head, the head and the neck, the shoulders. And then we had another model with the, we had ribs, just the ribs, and I had to know the floating rib and false ribs, true ribs. And then we had the full-sized, that one, the head, and then we had another one that had I think we had a leg. Yeah, we had a leg and an arm. So I had to know the muscles for those. That was on in 1 to 2 weeks. But I got to keep those for lab practical, so that was nice. And then I think that was all we had for muscles. I got so used to them that I named them. We had Headless Henry, and what was the other guy's name? Headless Henry. We had Lieutenant Dan because it didn't have one of its legs. Actually, it didn't have any legs. Yeah, this model had no legs, so we named him Lieutenant Dan. Then we had, what was his name? We had Kenny. He's named for a friend of mine back home. Nothing particular about Kenny, just the Kenny that's anatomy, not the real Kenny. He was the muscle man, and so they said, "That's your boyfriend," and I said, "Nope, his name's Kenny." So Kenny is muscular. Literally, it was just all muscles, so it was kind of weird. And then, of course, for the different parts of other bones and other structures, we would have models. So, like the eyeball had structures. We had 2 models of the eyeball, actually, because some of them you could feel certain things better. We didn't label most of the stuff. Most of the stuff I would take notes on, like what it felt like during the lab, and then if I had any questions, I would call, or I would go to him and be like, "Hey, can you tell me what this is? I need to know." Or I would ask a sighted person to help me look up pictures on the internet to find it, because they didn't know what it was. And then, basically, I would memorize what each thing looked like. That's pretty much all I had to do, just by the feel. Now we're in anatomy 2. So, one thing I want to tell you too. With the microscopes, basically, there was a big debate about microscopes in high school. In college, this guy knows I can't see a microscope. Like, it's pretty obvious I'm totally blind. I can't see a microscope, not gonna work. I did have to learn the parts of the microscope, just because everyone has to. So I did that by feel. And then he would describe certain things. And then by microscopes, I would just have to memorize like a description of it, so I could describe it to someone if they were seeing it. Of course, mine's not going to be perfect because I've never seen any of this stuff. The stuff that we don't have models for, we would basically figure out a way to make it accessible. Like, we would use my drawing board to draw some stuff. I'm very excited. We're doing the EKG tomorrow in lab. So he would probably be drawing the waves for me. I'm very excited. I want to see what that looks like. So yeah, we just kind of figured out as we go along. He's never done this before. I've never done it before. So he's very lenient. I love him. Just as far as accessibility, he knows that has to be fair, and he wants to make sure that I am learning, but it's also equal, and I appreciate that because a lot of people don't get that. So I'm getting the same opportunities as everyone else. It just may be a little bit different. We do texture drawings. Everything's by feel, and as far as like dissecting, I don't do that because it's pointless. Just because I can't. Me wearing rubber gloves, like I can learn it much faster with a plastic model, and I had the choice, and I decided I was not going to dissect just because it honestly would be a waste of time. Now it would be cool to do it just for the heck of it, which I'm sure I might get that opportunity if I ask. But I'm not going to ask because it is expensive to get the models, or the dissecting, whatever the word is, the like frogs or cats or whatever we dissect that week. So I just don't worry about it. I just do my own with the plastic models and the other models that they have. And as far as like synthetic substances like blood, they use synthetic blood in the lab. That would be again just describing it. A lot of the students had to get blood from their fingers, and since I did not feel comfortable doing that to myself just because I didn't want to mess it up, and I didn't have time for someone to teach me how to do it properly as a blind person, he did it for me and described to me what my blood type was and what it looked like. And then I have a tutor in anatomy as well. They don't go to the lectures or anything with me. They just get the notes that I get. The professor records all of his lectures and also posts the PowerPoint online that he goes through with class. So I take my own notes, and then if I don't understand a concept, my tutor gets a copy of the PowerPoint that he uses, and then my tutor goes over it with me, explains basically everything that he goes over. It's just a second lecture, same thing, just more tailored for me, because some things I don't understand. Like my professor will describe like a picture, and he does really good about describing it in the lecture class, but there's like 100 and so many people that he teaches every day. So yes, he remembers me, he knows my name, he knows who I am, but I don't expect him to describe everything so I can understand it, because I've never seen certain things. So they can't say, oh, it's a reflection, oh, it's like looking in a mirror. I don't know what a mirror looks like. I don't know what looking in a mirror is like, or what a reflection would look like. So, or different, like, bending of waves and rainbows and prisms, and none of that makes sense to me with this, as far as anatomy. So, like, anytime that there's a visual concept involved, it takes like 6 times longer to get the concept, because it's such a visual thing that I don't understand. Now when it came to eye charts and eye tests, we didn't do that, obviously, because it would be a waste of time, because we all know I can't see. So he described each test to me and how it worked, and I just did it like that. The nerves, there was actually a model of the nerve, and then we're going to be doing intestines, all that good stuff this semester. So I'm very excited about it. Just because, like, honestly, I didn't think I would enjoy anatomy because I knew it was going to be stressful. But, like, it's not as stressful as what I assumed, because it's actually, I don't want to say easy, because it's not easy by any chance, any way. But it is reassuring to know that I've got people on my side that are willing to help me and give me what I need when I need it. I don't have to wait like 6 weeks for help on something that I don't get. My professor makes himself available to all of his students, including me. So I can email him and be like, hey, explain this concept to me. I don't understand. Or find him after class and be like, hey, can you help me? As far as getting the notes, I take my own notes. But then I also have the PowerPoints, like I mentioned, a tutor. He records his lectures and posts them online in an accessible format. And also, for me specifically, they have taken the PowerPoints and turned them into a Word document so I can access them. And the disability office did not do that. The professor did it for me. That's not even, like, I mean, the disability office could do that, but, like, I didn't even have to mention it. He just did it for me. I asked him if I could have a copy of the PowerPoint so they could turn them into Word for me, and he said, I'll do it, and he did. So that's amazing. He's not depending on the disability office for everything to make it accessible, and I appreciate that, because the world needs more people like him that are not like, oh, I'll just send to the disability office. It's like, you can, but it's not that hard to make something accessible. And that's just how this professor is in general. He tries to make it as accessible as possible. As far as color contrast, I don't know how his PowerPoint works for someone who's visually impaired, because I can't see colors. but he's willing to make access equal. So, I'm sure, like, if he had a lecture class, he would make it, for someone who's deaf, he would make it with closed captioning for his videos, or he would use a very good transcription service, or they would use a CART, which is computer-assisted real-time captioning. I think that's what it is. If you're deaf, or you use a CART, and you know what I'm talking about, please correct me if I'm wrong, if I got it wrong. But basically, it would caption what the professor's saying, and it would show it in print. Or I guess maybe it can do Braille. I don't know if the carts can do Braille, but that'd be so cool if they did, because then it would be like hook it up to a Braille display. A person who's deafblind can read it that way and understand what's being said. Or you can use an interpreter, but I think an interpreter would be hard to get to use during anatomy because it's so fast for lecture. But yeah, so it's 50 minutes a week or 50 minutes a day for 3 days a week in lecture. So that's like 3 hours. And then lab is 2.5 hours, 2 hours and 50 minutes. I said that wrong earlier. So 3 hour lab, 3 hour lecture a week. So that's 6 hours. And then you're doing that a whole semester, which is like, I don't know, 16 weeks. So, you're in there for a while. And a lot of people don't know, like, because he has like 3 or 4 classes of over 100 students apiece. And the labs are split up differently. I don't know how they're split up. Maybe like 50 people in a lab, 50, 75. But there's a lot of labs, a lot of lecture. It never stops all week. So just the idea that this professor took the time to have one-on-one lab with me, it's amazing. And if you're blind, considering going to college, don't worry about the sciences, because, there's ways to make it accessible. And if you aren't getting what you need, speak up. Don't let the college say, oh, well, we can't do this, we can't do that. They can, and they had to make things accessible for you. Now, it depends on what the college considers reasonable accommodations. Sometimes you may not get a lab by yourself, but, they can't expect you to be equal to the sighted students if you don't have the right materials. Like you have to have models. You can't just use pictures, unless depending on your visual disability. So, like me, I can't see pictures, so pictures would be out of the question. I didn't grow up learning about razor line drawings. I'm learning about that now. But for me to understand the body, understand certain things, I have to have a tactile representation of what I'm feeling. Yeah, and I know that they have microscopes with, like, you can hook up a screen, like a monitor screen to them, like a big screen. So if you're visually impaired, you can see what the microscope's seeing. It just won't be small. I think that's really cool. So, and there's all kinds of technological instruments that can talk and explain stuff for the blind or any type of disability, really. I guess, like, yeah. So, as I was saying, it can read stuff. I'm sorry, I got a FaceTime call in the middle of that. And they can, like, tell you what color stuff is and the temperature and all that. But I don't really mess around with that stuff, so I don't need it. If I'm going to go in the field of chemistry or biochemistry or whatever, that would be helpful. But as far as, like, right now, I'm a freshman. I don't need that. I can do it by feel. But it is cool that they have it available for people that need it. Yeah, so that's it. I think I'm missing some stuff. So if y'all have any questions, feel free to ask me on the comments. I don't know a lot about the different technology they have available. I know about the LabQuest. Talking LabQuest is this machine. You hook up all these little sensors to it, and it can tell you temperature and color and all this good stuff. I'm not in a chemistry class. I don't really need it. If I were, I might use it depending on what it is. But I've made some adaptive equipment, like if you take a syringe one of those little medicine shooters, and you can measure your milliliters by cutting a little wedge in the stopper thing that you plunge, the little pusher thing. You can put little notches in there at the markings. There's something where you take a cork and like a wine cork, or I think it's a wine cork. You put it in the liquid and it'll float at a certain point, and you measure that with these little, I don't know what they're called. They're like little hard plastic sticks, and they have braille on them. I think they might be like little plastic rulers or some kind, like little rulers. And you can figure out your milliliters by doing that. By how much it sinks compared to the cup and all that stuff, or whatever you use, basin, flask, I don't know. I know a little bit about that stuff. You have your different funnels and different types of graduated cylinders and beakers with labels on them. They do make those. A lot of companies sell them, but one of the big companies went out of business, so I don't really have a lot of details on where to find some of that stuff. But I can get them for you if you want, or you can find them yourself by looking up blind science experiments, blind science techniques. There's literally a website called blindscience.org, I think it's blindscience.org, or .com. Anyway, they are like the clearinghouse for science information for the blind. So you can find all kinds of good stuff on there. I check them out a lot just because I think it's cool with the different stuff they have. With anatomy or chemistry, they have a lot of chemistry stuff. But they do all the sciences. Astronomy is possible with the tactile models, and also the some of the apps they have available. I forget what it's called, but it's like an Eclipse app. It's really cool, made by NASA, and it does the feeling, like you feel the screen. It does vibrations and different sound effects, and you can trace the pattern of certain things. They do real-time audio descriptions and real-time, I think it's called a rumble map is what it's called, the vibration thing. Real-time of that with the eclipses and certain astronomical events. So it's really cool. Now I'm going to stop recording now. I think I've been recording for quite a while. So I will let you go. Thank you all for watching. And if you have any questions, once again, feel free to let me know. I could do a video about how I do math. As a blind person, like graphing and stuff. Any kind of scientific question, I probably asked it myself 1,000 times, probably looked it up. So if you have any questions, please comment. If I missed anything or if I did something wrong, please feel free to comment again. Tell me what I'm doing wrong. Help me to fix it. Once again, I apologize if you're seeing something weird because of the camera. So thank you again for watching and have a good day.